If you're confused of how to figure out if the acceleration should be positive or negative according to a motion diagram, this should help you out. For all these motion diagrams, over to the right is positive, over to the left is negative. The top one's the easiest one. Any time that the dots are evenly spread out, you're not going to have any acceleration. Here we can see one where an object is speeding up to the left, and here an object is slowing down but still traveling to the left. In all three cases, we can look at these in three separate ways and really figure out what's happening. First, we can just conceptually look at what's happening in the signs that we're dealing with. So the first thing, to know the signs of the velocity, we're going to have to draw the arrows about which way it's going. So we can see here on the top, they're all going to the right, so those would be positive velocities. Here they're all going to the left, so these would be negative velocities. And down at the bottom as well, we have negative velocities. So with this, without even looking at numbers, we can tell if the acceleration would be positive or negative. If something is going the same speed the whole time, doesn't matter if it's going right or left, it's going to have zero acceleration. When things speed up, like you can see right here, the velocity and the acceleration will have the same sign. So we can see a negative velocity for all of these, and it's speeding up. That means our velocity would be negative. So zero acceleration at the top, negative for this one. Down here, if something slows down, your acceleration and your velocity are going to be opposite signs. So again, we see negative acceleration, or excuse me, negative velocities, meaning we have to have a positive acceleration. Okay, we can also look at it and compare the lengths of the arrows. So I'm going to just pick two arrows, the first velocity and the second velocity. Again, they're the same size. So since they're the same size here, that means that there is zero acceleration. So we get the same answer either way. If we look at this one, my first arrow is short, my second arrow is long. So what does my change have to be in this case? When I go from short to long, it's going this direction. So to the left is negative, so again we see a negative answer. In this case, we have a longer one and a shorter one. So what is the change? Well, the change is coming back this direction. That arrow points to the right, which is positive. So we can compare the lengths of the vectors one at a time from start to end, and you'll get the same answer. You can also look at it in terms of numbers. So 2, 2, 2, 2 are my velocities. Well, 2 plus what gives you 2? 0. 2 plus what gives you 2? 0. So you're going to get that answer. If we look at this one here, we have -1, -2, -3, -4, -5. So be careful, make sure you include that negative sign because we know it's going to the left. So what -1 plus what gives you -2? Well, -1 plus -1 gives you 2. So again, since it's a negative number that we're adding, acceleration is how much the velocity changes by. Each of these change by -1. So again, we have a negative acceleration. Down here, we have 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So what are we changing by here? Well, here we're 5 plus what gives you 5 plus what gives you 4? 5 plus 4 would give you 1, but looking at this, remember these should be -5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. So I forgot to put those on there at first, which would be confusing. Make sure you put those on there so that you know that -5 plus what gives you -4. Well, it's a +1. So since and a -4 plus +1 gives you -3. So again, we see that that's positive. These are negative, those are 0. So you have 3 ways to find the accelerations. Again, you can just look at the signs of them and see if they are in the same direction, it is speeding up. If they're in opposite directions, they're slowing down. If you have no acceleration, it stays the same. You can compare the lengths of the arrows. If they're the same, it's 0. If your length increases or decreases, just look at which way the acceleration has to be. So we can fill that in. That's to the left, it's negative. That's to the right, it's positive. And then finally, we can say, what do you have to add to get to the next value? Here we have to add -1, -1, -1. So that's a negative acceleration. Here we have to add +1, +1, +1 to get that positive value.